A look at Maricopa County's election plan and the concerns facing Arizona voters.
Plus, the coronavirus antibody test that you could be a part of.
And how teens feel about going to school online versus heading back to class.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm ROSAURA Wordsworth.
And I'm Tyler Mannion. Thank you for joining us. Voting is going to look a little different this year due to the global pandemic.
Abigail Verwick spoke with the Maricopa County Elections Department about their newly approved plan. Abby?
The Maricopa County Elections Department is anticipating a historic turnout for the November general election. In order to ensure the health and safety of voters, the department is offering a variety of options, such as mail-in ballots and in-person voting centers. The department is also adding new drive-through drop boxes in the parking lots of sports stadiums like the Gila River Arena in Glendale and Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix. Deputy Director of Communications for the Maricopa County 2020 Elections Department, Erica Flores, says safety is their top priority.
So we worked closely with our Department of Public Health from Maricopa County in order to develop safety measures, and that's why we have those vote centers that we had to secure that are large enough to practice physical distancing.
According to the county, 78% of Maricopa's nearly 2.5 million registered voters have already requested a ballot in the mail. Voting locations will be open starting October 7th. Locations for voting centers and ballot drop boxes can be found online at maricopa.gov. In the Broadcast Center, Abigail Verwick, Cronkite News.
The 2020 election is right around the corner, but some are concerned about getting their vote in on time. Cronkite News reporter Melissa Zaremba has the details on what Arizonans should be aware of when mailing in their ballots.
Sending out millions of unsolicited ballots. Make sure you send the ballot in and then go to your polling place and make sure it counts. Make sure it counts.
With the president calling into question mail-in ballots, many voters in Arizona are concerned as to how their ballot will be collected and counted. Due to the current pandemic and possible postal service delays, Secretary of State Katie Hobbs explains what voting will look like this November.
The primary that we just held at the beginning of August saw a significant increase in vote by mail, and we expect that to continue as election officials across the state are promoting this as the safest way to participate in the election.
Hobbs explains what steps Arizona residents should be aware of when voting by mail.
To even request a ballot by mail, you have to be a registered voter in Arizona.
To make sure that you are eligible to vote, the deadline for voter registration is October 5th. After the registration process, anyone can request a mail-in ballot. Voters can also sign up for permanent early voter lists so they can participate via mail in every election in which they are eligible. The last day to put in mail-in ballots request is on October 23rd. Early voting does start on October 7th, and it is recommended to mail in ballots by October 27th to ensure that your ballot will arrive on time.
We have been assured by postal officials that this is the deadline that they can say that they can meet, and that they don't anticipate other delays in election mail this year.
However, if voters don't want to mail in ballots and don't mail it back on time, there are options to make sure the voting deadline is met. Ballots can be dropped off at any polling place before or on election day.
We are focused on getting it right and making sure that every voter who has cast a ballot that's eligible to be counted is able to be counted.
Keep in mind, there will be fewer polling locations this year, especially on election day. So it is recommended to consider early voting as an option to meet deadline and vote safely in this election. Melissa Zaremba, Cronkite News.
For more information about voting and guidelines, please visit arizona.vote.
Right now, Karen Pence is in Arizona on the campaign trail for her husband, Vice President Mike Pence. The Second Lady and the Secretary of the Air Force, Barbara Barrett, made a stop at Luke Air Force Base today. Then they took part in military spouse licensing roundtable with Governor Doug Ducey. Tomorrow, Pence will participate in another roundtable discussion in Phoenix on veteran suicide prevention.
Recent polling data in the U.S. Senate race for Arizona has Democrat Mark Kelly with a hefty lead on incumbent Martha McSally. How big is the gap actually, though? Cronkite News reporter Alex Gall dug into the data.
A recent poll from Fox News has Mark Kelly 17 points ahead in the Arizona Senate race. It's the largest margin in any poll taken so far. But pollsters in Arizona, well, they aren't buying it.
I wasn't necessarily surprised that it was a large gap. I was surprised that it was a 17-point gap.
Jacob Joss is a data analyst with OH Predictive Insights, a Phoenix-based polling firm. OH's data contradicts the Fox report. Although their polling did show a widening gap in the summer, the race narrowed in August.
The data we've seen from our firm, as well as many other polls, it looks like Kelly is the clear favorite right now, but obviously the numbers are close enough that either party can come out on top.
With a Kelly win in November, Arizona would have 2 Democratic senators in office for the first time since the mid-1950s. Analysts say the race could come down to who turns out across the state.
Republicans always turn out. The sun rises in the morning, Republicans go vote. Is who shows up around them in the cycle. And we've seen higher participation rates amongst non-traditional cohorts of the electorate.
Those cohorts include younger voters who often lean more Democratic. The race between Kelly and McSally has attracted national attention. As Republicans try to hold on to a narrow majority in the Senate, John McCain's vacant seat could hold the key to flipping the chamber.
And Arizona, whoever wins the Senate seat here, whether that be Mark Kelly or Martha McSally, going to play a key role in determining who gets 51 seats in the Senate.
Polling data from the last 2 weeks seems to confirm OH's analysis. Their latest poll has Kelly 10 points up, while the average on Real Clear Politics sits at just over 6 points. In the Broadcast Center, Alex Gall, Cronkite News.
Arizona is one of the states with the worst response rates for the 2020 census. Today, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey held a news conference regarding our census numbers. Arizona's enumerated response rate is 87.9, the 8th worst in the country. Governor Doug Ducey and the director of the U.S. Census Bureau, Stephen Dillingham, gave an update today about Arizona's census completion numbers.
We're on track, 89.9%, 13 days left to go, 450 new resources inside the state. We're going to press forward.
Today, Arizona started fanning out census takers from other states to help collect responses. The governor reminded everyone, the information you provide on the census form is confidential. You can fill it out online at my2020census.gov.
2 more counties in Arizona hit the COVID-19 benchmarks, Yuma and Gila counties. That means they can now reopen businesses. Graham County is the only place still closed in our state. Reporter Stephanie Rosales explains the guidelines.
Governor Ducey has announced that gyms, movie theaters, and water parks can reopen. This comes after the governor's order to shut down on June 29, 2020. Plenty of establishments have made the decision to reopen, but only after following specific protocols presented by the Arizona Department of Health Services.
These requirements include limiting the occupancy, requiring the use of masks except when eating or drinking, enforcing physical distancing of at least 6 feet, increasing their cleaning and disinfecting practices, and screening staff for symptoms prior to the start of their shift.
There are also specific requirements for individual industries.
In order to keep up with Governor Ducey's reopening guidelines, places like Lifetime Fitness are not only mandating masks, but checking their members' temperatures using a body scan and making sure they keep 6 feet distance apart while working out.
We contracted out a third-party epidemiologist, as well as an industrial hygienist for each space of our club to make sure that it's the healthiest space possible for our members.
Lifetime also encourages its staff to enforce the new rules and regulations with its members.
I have extra team members who are staffed specifically in our high occupancy areas, much like the fitness floor, that are walking around that not only cleaning, but helping educate members that maybe aren't following the rule to a T on how to wear their mask, just making sure that everyone's complying and is safe throughout their entire workout here.
Oasis Great Wolf Lodge, a water park in Scottsdale, has created a health and safety program. Some of these protocols include hospital A-grade cleaning and intense sanitization. Also, all staff members need to wear proper personal protection equipment. Places like indoor movie theaters are required to spread apart scheduled show times to avoid big gatherings in waiting areas. Theaters must post signs informing their customers of all expectations and guidelines. Stephanie Rosales, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Department of Health Services will take necessary steps, such as temporary restraining orders if businesses fail to follow executive order requirements.
A new coronavirus antibody test is taking place in Arizona. Health experts say they're hopeful the results will give them a better idea of how people were exposed to the virus. From now through September 20th, crews will be knocking on doors in 29 different communities and asking people if they want the free test. So far, the team on the ground has gotten about 60 of the 168 homes needed to make the project valid.
1 in 5 students would go back to in-person learning if the choice was theirs. That's according to a survey released by SurveyMonkey and Common Sense Media. The national survey asked 890 students ages 13 to 17 about the COVID-19 safety measures that have canceled classes, sports, and school activities. More than half of the participants said distant learning is worse than in-person instruction, and that they're also worried about falling behind. Only 42% of those surveyed said they prefer to learn from home. The survey also found that close to half of the participants are worried about losing scholarship opportunities and future jobs due to the pandemic.
Coming up on Cronkite News, is this doctor a real-life Forrest Gump? We'll take you on his journey to raise awareness for caregivers and patient safety when we come back.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News.
Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.
Some of the best players for their program.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Everyone has secrets. Are you protecting someone?
I have no choice.
You do have a choice. You're looking at him.
That's amazing. We could be standing on top of a T-Rex right now.
Women demanded new space and pushed the boundaries of what being a lady means.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station. Sign in and start streaming today.
The World Health Organization says over 200,000 Americans die each year of preventable medical harm. One local Valley doctor is hoping to change that. His mission is one part Forrest Gump, one part Field of Dreams. Cronkite News reporter Rachel Phillips tracks his march today for World Patient Safety Day.
After watching the hit 1994 film Forrest Gump, Dr. Dave Mayer felt inspired. Not to run across the country like the Tom Hanks character, but instead to walk all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. To deliver one simple message.
Every day I walk in memory of a caregiver or a patient that's lost their lives due to preventable medical harm.
According to the patient safety movement, preventable medical harm ranks as the third leading cause of death in America.
I saw too many patients that lost their lives due to things that were preventable, and so I got very interested in quality and safety.
Dr. Mayer is spending his mornings training at Peoria Sports Complex in preparation for his next leg. He and 49 others, one from every state, will meet in Washington, D.C., where they will walk from the Freedom Plaza to the Capitol in honor of World Patient Safety Day.
Many of the people are walking, like I said, have lost loved ones, and they're going to be wearing shirts with their daughter or their husband on the shirt to commemorate.
Carol Hemelgarn is one of the 50 people walking. Her 9-year-old daughter Alyssa was diagnosed with leukemia and died only 10 days later because of multiple medical errors.
They did not see she was becoming septic. They thought she was anxious. And they kept treating her as someone who was anxious when yet you look at the medical record, you see she was all the classic signs and symptoms.
These people turn their losses around and say, we're going to dedicate, we're going to try to leave a legacy for our loved one.
It's going to be emotional. I can feel it.
After World Patient Safety Day, Dr. Mayer will continue on his walk to America's major league stadiums. For Mayer, baseball represents survival, a metaphorical field of dreams.
I love all sports, but there's something about baseball. It has been that one constant in our lives, at least mine, to save one life. If 1,400 miles saves one life, it was well worth it.
Rachel Phillips, Cronkite News.
Dr. Mayer has already hit 17 of the MLB ballparks since February, and his next stop on the list is Philadelphia.
Finally, tonight, the 120th U.S. Open kicked off today. ASU is well represented in the tournament with big names like Phil Mickelson and Jon Rahm in the mix. But a current Sun Devil may be the one to watch. Super senior Kevin Yu is making his third appearance and hoping this time's a charm. The third-ranked amateur in the world missed the cut the last two Opens. This round, he's hired a very familiar face as his caddy. ASU head coach Matt Thurman will be on the bag for Yu. The Devil duo is looking to make magic on the big stage and Yu's final run as a Sun Devil.
To play another year here and then also play the championship will be a great opportunity to get a trophy.
I love this guy, and I've walked a lot of rounds with him, and I just believe so much in him. And so, I mean, I would do whatever he asked me to do. I'm honored that he would ask me, and I think we're going to have a great time.
And Yu got off to a great start. He finished at even par for today's first round.
That's it for Cronkite News. For Arizona news updates throughout the day, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.